the Labor Party over Malbrough. Climate change protesters have occupied the House and are refusing to leave. Dozens. We're going to try and bring you some of those pictures. Now, here we go. There's a live vision coming to us from the marble foyer here at Parliament House. Dozens staged a sit-in in that marble foyer, and their leaders started out by demanding that they get what they called a return to justice and fairness in relation to climate change. Now, they refused the invitation of security guards to leave the area, and after speeches were made, the guards, well, they took matters into their own hands, and they have for the last 5 or 10 minutes or so been steadily going through, lifting and dragging away each protester individually. Now, there's quite clearly a number of them still to go through, and included in their number several Greens senators and also the lower house member Adam Bant as well. You can't just see the Greens in that shot. There's Scott Ludlam and a couple of the Greens sitting nearby him, but presumably the security guards will eventually have to remove those members of Parliament too, unless they deem that it is their right to sit on the floor of the marble foyer as opposed to members of the public. We'll watch that. So this is continuing live vision from the marble foyer. What we heard when the security guards first asked the protesters to move on after they delivered their speeches was one reply: "We shall not be moved." Obviously a statement of intent given to the security guards that they'd have to do it the hard way. Might just have a listen to any of the exchanges if our microphones are catching them. They're live in the marble foyer.
What about what they might like to say? That's what you want to say, a couple of words.
I come from Wollongong. I send a message from 500 who met on Sunday to say that we are doing too little on fossil fuels. Far too little reduction in fossil fuel use in Australia. We recognised almost a quarter of a century ago that in Kyoto it was recognised worldwide that fossil fuels are the issue, yet today we still have almost all our energy needs met by fossil fuels. It's just a stupid situation. Nothing is happening. We need to move far more quickly. So, from Wollongong, send a message to the rest of the world, to our leaders.
So there you go. That's a bit of a taste of the point, the political point that these protesters are seeking to make. We see the Greens leader Richard Di Natale about to speak as well, and our microphones will be under his chin when he makes his contribution. Here we go. Let's have a listen to Richard Di Natale.
I just want to say to everybody a huge thank you on behalf of myself, my parliamentary colleagues in the Greens. This is a battle that's not going to be won in this place. It's going to be won out there. Thanks to the voices of people like you right around the country, coming into this place, the People's House, and engaging in peaceful and respectful protest. I want to say it from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Together we will win this. We'll ensure that Australia takes the action it needs to, that we can leave a planet that is inhabitable for ourselves, for our kids and for everybody. Thank you so much for everything you've done today. Thank you.
That's an intervention of sorts by Richard Di Natale, but not one which sought to move the protesters along. So they're continuing to chant, and that will presumably leave it up to the security guards to continue to manhandle physically these protesters one by one out of the marble foyer. So in the last 10 minutes or so, we've seen a dozen or so be removed, but there are many more to get through, and that operation will continue. We note that with some of the heavier males, there have been up to 5 security guards engaged in a coordinated lift and carry on those protesters. And question time's due to start at 2 o'clock. You would imagine that they want to try and clear the protest before 2 o'clock, maybe even the building, because protesters do have a habit sometimes of infiltrating the chamber itself, which the Speaker and the attendants in the Reps chamber do not appreciate. But we might come back to that and bring you an update a little later on how many protesters have been removed or are still to be removed in that protest, coming to you live from the Marble Foyer. Well, Malcolm